You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of July 2nd, 2017, episode 43. Straight out of 98226, I am Chris Powell.
And at the city by the Salish Sea, I'm AJ Barcay. On this episode, we're going to help you ask your future self, in 20 years, are my children really going to care about those pictures on Facebook? We're going to help you figure out how to organize those online photos and memories offline. All that and more next on BPM Tech.
Offline mode, here we come.
Yep, that's when you swipe from the bottom, iOS users, and you hit airplane mode. How you doing, Chris?
I am happy to be around 70-degree weather and not upper 80, lower 90-degree weather. How you doing, AJ?
Good, exhausted, as you can tell, because I am over-caffeinated right now.
As per usual. What else is what else is new?
Well, what else is new is I have a shout out at the top of the show.
Shout out!
Is that our new jingle?
I don't know. I just made it up.
Shout out! We have a shout out on Instagram. I was going to do this the last episode, but I didn't see the shout out until after we recorded. So this goes all the way back to when we were doing our Father's Day edition of BPM.
Yes.
Instagram user @bull_watches. What's up?
Howdy.
I put a link in the show notes. One, really cool account. Looks like a tinkerer, much like myself when it comes to watches. And also, he was reading our minds when we were talking about good watch ideas for Dad's Day.
Yes.
The Seiko that I mentioned, he got one for Father's Day.
Very cool.
So
it's nice that someone's actually listening to us.
Yeah.
And also, I checked out Bull Watches on Instagram. Very nice pictures of watches, glam shots, if you will. I don't know what the horology aficionados call it, but they look pretty cool. So what's up, Bull Watches?
Wrist shots, Chris.
Thanks for wrist shots. Okay, fair enough. Thanks very much for tuning in, Bull Watches, and we hope it's worth your time.
Yeah.
So we are once again, ladies and gentlemen, banging our drum. I'm more of the bass drum. AJ, you may be more of the kettle drum, the one that goes boom, about backing up your data and photos. Now, if there's one thing you get from us in Bellingham Podcast Media Tech, it's that we value your data, probably more than you might in some cases. One of the touchstones we always talk about is backing up your data. But there are other types of ways to back up your data, including physical, tangible media.
Heretic! What do you mean? Everything needs to be digital, Chris.
Yes.
We don't need to kill trees, do we?
Well, when trees are killed, others are planted. In an effort to be conservation and the earth and everything like that.
We didn't plan this segment if you haven't figured it out. I did not realize that's when one is killed, another is planted, AJ.
Well,
wow, Chris,
a lot of companies, when they harvest a tree, they will plant 7 or 8 more. And so that, it's a circle of tree life.
True.
Perhaps. This is me kind of just like, talking out my butt. But so I had a thought, and I alluded to it in a couple episodes ago in some aspects, but I went on a little bit of a mission. And my mission was involving this Friday newsletter that I attempt to about 50 out of 52 weeks. I will send something to your inboxes. It's called Quiet Conversations, and it's pretty much life insights. It used to be like tech tips, music tips, what I use, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's more like I'm not really venting, but I'm kind of like having a conversation, talking about and maybe unpacking a certain part of life that occurs that we may not really be thinking about, but yet it's there. So I realized in early June that I have been doing this newsletter for over a year, like May to May. And I'm like, that's a lot of writing, because I did the writing. And I thought, why not see what would happen if I was to make a book of this first year of my newsletters, like just compile a compilation of all my messages and put them in a book. Now, how does one do that? So we can, the first, thought naturally, because we're all fans of Amazon, they have a Kindle store. Do I want to create a Kindle book? Which is possible. There's also Apple has their iBook store in which you can purchase and download books. But I went a different route. And There's a program out there called Day One. And some of you, we may have discussed it in the past. It was one of our apps that we have on our phones or an app on tap or something like that. And Day One is a journal type app, but it also has notes that you can make for yourself. And it also allows you to have multiple journals. And this is mainly for the Apple camp. The desktop version costs about $40 to download it off the Mac App Store. And the mobile version costs about $25 fully equipped, but you could probably test it out for free to get some limited functionality. So I had the full features, the full premium features on both mobile and desktop, and I copied and pasted and did the labor of love with my newsletters. And son of a gun, Day One has a feature where you can publish a book of your quote-unquote journal entries, whether they be your Instagram photos or photos that you've taken at a certain time that are tagged onto your journal, or your writings. And I made a unique journal called Quiet Conversations, 53 entries, I think, and put them together and chose a cover, entitled it, and I chose the hardcover edition. The paperback edition will probably run you around $20, including shipping.
Oh, nice.
The hardcover version ran me about $40, but I wanted a prototype. Here's a keepsake. Let's just go through the process. And I got to say, when one receives something in the mail and the unboxing, kind of like the Apple, the Apple famed unboxing of their products, there's a certain amount of delight one gets with the ooh factor. And I got to tell you, AJ, I had that ooh factor. I was really impressed with what Day One had done with my book. It was 31,000 words, about 130 pages.
Say that again. 31,000 words?
31,000 words that I wrote in this year's elapsed time.
Holy moly.
And 53 entries and 130 some pages. And I got to say, I'm really proud of that. And
as am I.
Well, it's just proof of concept, but for those of you out there that are thinking about, you went on a trip to Europe, for example, you went on a trip somewhere, you had a newborn and you journaled their first year of life. No, I'm not looking at you, AJ, but
I totally didn't have enough time to do that much creativity,
right.
Chris.
But anyway, should you have these journal entries, it's possible to make a book for about $20 of the content's already there. You've already entered it in your journaling solution. Think about this ahead of time for a Christmas gift. Wouldn't it be something for family or loved ones if you have a whole clump of pictures from a particular trip or a family reunion? You compile them all together, and then about 10 days, 2 weeks, you get this nice book, nicely laid out. The paper feels nice and shiny.
Yes, I liked it. I approved.
What a great way to capture your moments, in this case, in physical form. So I would say that's a successful, proof of concept.
So if somebody wanted to buy a version of Quiet Conversations, Chris, is there a way that they're going to be able to do it?
The prototype is not for sale. However,
I didn't think it's a prototype.
First of all, if you are up for checking out the Quiet Conversations, bit.ly/quietchris in your web browser. If you like what you see and you want to actually take me up on the offer for a year's book, contact me at #BHAMPodcast. We'll talk offline. We'll figure out a price because, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, the newsletter I do for free. It's a hobby. It's a passion. It's a labor of love. It's not really a labor. I get to type on a keyboard and hit send, but it's me. And for those of you that may be interested, maybe stay tuned. Okay, tell you what. I'm checking out what it would be like to go through the iBook store and the Amazon Kindle store.
Word.
Should you think that it's free. You can go on the web and look at all my archive, Quiet Conversations, but how much would one price for this? It's me. And I go off on rants and I have these, personal things.
I enjoy your personal rants.
Well, thank you. But that's a question. How much do you charge for a year of your writing? I don't know. So if you're interested, #BHAM as in magnificent podcast, and hit me up. Let me know if you're interested. Let's talk.
Yeah. That's Chris, seriously, when you brought that in, I was stupid excited. That was really cool. It's a really cool feat. I didn't realize it was 31,000 words?
Well, 53 entries. We do the quick math. That's about 600-word newsletter every Friday. And, a paragraph is about 100, 150 words. Okay, 4 paragraphs and a thanks very much.
And a thanks very much.
And I don't know. I figured I was just writing, dude. I'm not really keeping track.
That's an accomplishment, though, Chris. Seriously.
But year
Props.
2 is currently in progress. And I'm thinking, as time goes on, okay, year 1, year 2, see how things change, see where I've changed, because we all are evolving individuals. I've changed a lot in the past 12 months. And here's a great way to document it.
Dig it, dude.
So there's also ways that you can capture your photos, not just in day 1, but AJ, of course, I bow to thee as far as photo knowledge on how to get it into print form. Take it away.
Yeah. So when you brought that book in, because originally, folks, we had a different episode planned, and then Chris dropped the book in my office, and I was like, "This is what we need to talk about." Because here's the thing. Kind of like at the top of the show, I made my little pitch to you of future self. In 20 years, is my kid really going to care about my Facebook? I look as a photographer, and I'm guilty of this as well. I've shared many of photos on Facebook and see my previous BPM episodes of how I've been removing that stuff because I don't want Facebook to own it. Here's the thing. There was an entire generation from when the Lumiere brothers created the first camera coming forward. People printed photos, and those photos were passed down in families. In the millennial generation that we are now in, how are we going to do that? Like, as a photographer, I'm concerned about this because in an era where services open and shutter, I've been fragged by services, professional services, backed by big companies who shutter a service. I'm concerned about our memories, kind of like your words of wisdom that you put in your quiet conversations. Getting that in a bound book and in the physical world, slaughtering a tree in your memory's name is a really powerful thing, not just for you, but, for your daughter, to read when she's your age, or your grandchildren, or whatever, and in today's very Snapchatic, impermanent, here literally today, gone tomorrow.
Disposable.
There it is. In our disposable data era, I'm concerned about these memories. Now, on the flip side of it, I also look at it as there are some memories you do not need to capture, like all those 60 different shots of that one cup of coffee. Yes, I'm poking fun at food bloggers, but I love you, vegan in Bellingham. I'm not making fun of you.
Hi, Clarissa.
Hey, Clarissa. But here's the thing. Some of those you don't need to keep, and I get that. But, I see a lot of vacation photos where I know that they live in 2 places, and you and I have talked ad nauseum on the show. If it doesn't exist in 3 places, it doesn't exist at all. It exists on that person's phone and on their Facebook. And if one of the two, or both of the two, were to go up in smoke,
or get hacked,
or get
blocked, or
whatever,
terminated.
It's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest, doesn't make a sound. If a memory that you captured digitally goes up in smoke, did it really ever happen? That goes into my normal shameless plug. As a photographer, every moment has a story, which is how I started some 4 years ago on that photo project of paring down what I shoot, printing, and going through different ways of printing. And yes, as a professional photographer, yes, I'm giving a shameless plug, but not just to me, but if you're listening to our show and you're not in the Bellingham area and you don't want to work with me, that's fine. Just listen to this one bit. Wherever you're at, work with a local professional family photographer. And here's why. You, as much as you can selfie everything, somebody has to take the photo. You can have the greatest camera in the world, but if you want to be the whole set the timer, run in front and take a photo, absolutely, go for it. But working with your local photographer, family portrait photographer, you get a couple extra bonuses. One, you don't have to sweat to take the photo. The second thing is they also have hookups. As a licensed photographer, we have the ability to work with vendors that normal people can't. And that's what I do with clients, much like you, I'm looking at, because you commissioned me for a work about a year ago. A 3-panel, the largest print to date that I have done, 3 panels, custom on aluminum.
Yes.
That is hanging in your house.
Yep.
That was all because I had to make a phone call to a guy in Colorado who only deals with licensed pros. So when you get to memories and you're working with art and memories, work with a local pro because you might be able to get some options and affordable options for you to preserve and present your memories. What we do today isn't just for us. It's not for the bragger board of Facebook. I'm hoping we're doing more in life than just bragging about it on Facebook. Hopefully we can learn from it. We can have our relations look, when we're dead and gone, okay, to quote Doctor Who, in the end, we're all just stories. Make mine a good one. What's your story going to be when you're not here?
Exactly. And along those lines, to have a very crass analogy, you're really not going to send your computer and ship it to New York to get it worked on. You're going to find someone in town that is within distance. You want to have your tech. You want to have your tax person. You want to have your physician.
Yeah.
The photographer is in that category because that's the emotional aspect of your life. They're capturing memories that are going to be something that you're going to look at and bring back memories and fondly for many years to come. And when you get it done right, instead of having a little bit of your finger in blocking the camera on your phone, you know that it turned out right.
Right. And they also, I shoot families here in Bellingham, and I've watched
with cameras, not
yes,
with guns. Yes.
And I've watched kids grow, and as a family photographer, that's what I get to do. And you get to know the family and their style and stuff. And I'm not saying that selfies don't have a place or doing it, DIYing it. I do it all the ding dong time. But having those other options at your disposal, because I've seen, perfect example, the reason why most professional photographers, we source out to certain vendors for our stuff to be printed is because it's done right. Just because you can go to Costco and get a large format print does not mean it looks good when you actually go up and look at it. Not all printers are made the same.
You are tuned into Bellingham 102.3 FM KMRE, low power community radio.
So anyway, I digress a little bit, but I wanted to bring up because a lot of people, I get this question asked a lot. It's like, oh, why are you a pro photographer? Everybody's got a smartphone. You're right. And there are an infinite amount of reasons why the smartphone has been a great thing for photography, but it's also been one of the worst things for photography because the art form of what I do has now been devalued because people forgot. What are these photos for? So presenting photos, one of the things I always, whether it's a bridal client or it's a family photo client or whomever, I encourage them, if they don't go with me, to print them. I don't care with whom. I have recommendations. If you want to go with those recommendations, awesome. Let your budget be your guide, but print them up. For literally, you printed a year's worth of thoughts for $40. All the things that I'm going to mention today, you can print your year's worth of photos, whether they're on Instagram or Facebook. You don't even have to upload them. You can connect these services to your social networks and they can pull the photos that you have there if you don't even have the originals. For $40, you can do a lot. So one of the companies I've sent people towards is a company called Adorama. Now, Adorama is well known in the photography biz for gear. They also have a site called Adoramic Pics. And when you go there, you're able to upload whatever photos, and then you can pick what services that you want them from Brooklyn to print out and ship to you. Everything is reasonable and everything's fairly speedy. You can have everything printed from a book to a canvas print done from them. So take a look at them. The one fault I always tell everybody about with them, and if you're listening, Adorama, I think you're the goods, but update your editor. It should not run in Flash in today's day and age.
Oh, that's 1998.
But most photography sites, photo service sites, you'll notice still use Flash because it is still, unfortunately, a very robust tool for being able to upload things, rescale things, use stuff on the web. But there are other things. There's also ShutterFly. This is something you've probably heard on other podcasts because they sponsor podcasts. Not this one, but they do sponsor podcasts. ShutterFly, matter of fact, I have an order with them right now. I use their service because they're cheap. They offer a service that they will give you free, as in beer, as in speech, free, unlimited prints. Unlimited. 4x6 prints. You don't have to pay for them. They will give them to you for the price of shipping.
So How does one? I was like, I wasn't ready for the shipping. That seems to be a too good to be true deal. But shipping is one thing. What? Is it on their website? Is it some kind of
It's not a promo. That is one of the features that they use. Is if you go to ShutterFly, you can use it in the web browser or they have a mobile app. And you basically upload your photos, pick how many you want. I did, at the time of this recording, I just did a test run to see how much it was. I uploaded about 40 shots. I think it was about $7 worth of shipping, Chris.
Okay. So that's about 70 cents a print.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was just because I ran out of things to upload. But I imagine
60 cents a print.
I imagine, again, if you wanted an affordable way and you didn't want to go to the local Walgreens or Walmart print center, just upload it and there you are. And then it shows up at your door in about 3 or so days, or at least that's what the email said.
And if you have the mobile phone with thousands of photos on it, they probably have the app available. I'm not familiar with the ShutterFly app.
Yep.
And you can do that all from your phone while you're waiting in line at Costco with your cart that takes 45 minutes to get through the line.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought it was a really cool thing. It's a newer service that they've rolled out. They also offer unlimited photo storing and stuff, kind of like what Amazon does.
So that raises a question. Do you trust your photos to ShutterFly as a place to store all your photos in lieu of, we've talked about Dropbox and Google Photos and where to store these memories. How about uploading them all to ShutterFly? And therefore, in case something tanks, you still have at least another option, but it's free.
Yeah, I don't use that service, but it's in my show notes, Chris.
Disclaimer: do be careful if you decide to upload your photos over cellular data from your mobile phone with the ShutterFly app.
Yeah. Part of their site still runs on Flash, which I've mentioned ad nauseum. It's a little bit janky, but again, the cool thing about ShutterFly, I also wanted to point out with them, is you can also do interesting things with your photos outside of books and tapestries and that type of normal flat 2D stuff. What if you could take a photo and make it your iPhone case? You can have it printed to one of those TPU cases. They also have things like pillowcases for you can have a picture of your dog on a pillowcase.
Now we get into the weird zone.
But again, if that's your thing, I just want to throw it out. Deck of cards, Ace.
Oh, hello.
You can have, I think, a custom deck of cards printed up for, I think, $20, $25.
You see, now that is something because my better half, who will listen to the episode, listen to the show when I play it for her. But anyway, she's a supporter of BPM, but she's really not a frequent listener. Anyway, she has wanted to get a happier set of playing cards because we play cribbage a lot, and the standard bicycle deck and stuff like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wasn't prepared for that one. Now I know how we're going to get some cute cards because I'm going to put our pictures and it's
there you
here,
go,
honey.
Or if you're a bride to be, this is something cool that you could do for favors as well. It's another thing that I usually throw out there. But again, think about how you can use your photos, not just you can get trivial likes. So anyway, so there's that one. MixBook is another. It's basically the direct competitor to ShutterFly. I have not looked at them in years because they also bought another smaller company called Mosaic. Mosaic was really hip on the scene with the iPhone 3G or 3GS. They were one of the first that allowed you to basically take your photos, put it up into Mosaic. You just select how many photos. It auto populates pages for you. Wham, bam. And in the mail is a book waiting for you about the size of a moleskin.
I remember using Mosaic. It was a wonderful app. We had gotten a family photo album of that, but I haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, they still exist. That's the only reason why I want to throw them out is because I myself never used their service, but I know lots of people that did, and they were just really dirt simple and fast. So that's MixBook, direct competitor. And then I stumbled on this by accident, Chris, right before this recording, but Amazon Prime Photos also is a printing service.
Of course they are.
I didn't realize. I'm doing my due diligence. I was researching.
Good for you.
Prime customers get their prints free shipping.
Okay. Well, that's a point in favor.
Okay. Finally, a site that allows you to upload your editor, upload and edit your photos without Flash. It's all HTML based.
Oh, that's a point in favor, a big point in favor.
And you can also do for about $22, you can get an 8.5 by 11 20-page photo book.
So that's coffee table size.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So there's some options for you. Like I said,
and that's a Christmas gift waiting to happen.
Bingo. I haven't used them. Full disclosure, haven't used them. I used them as a photo backup solution. But I just stumbled. I was just like, I wonder if Amazon has something. And sure enough, I'm looking at them from a future project, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised if they changed their name from Amazon to Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous.
They're everywhere.
Ubic.us.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, okay.
So anyway, but do please print out or preserve your memories, whether they're your words like Chris Powell did, or if they're photos like if you're a Shutterbug like me. Because again, yeah, Facebook seems to be taking over the world like Skynet. But if things get hacked or things go away, or again, is your 20 years from now, is your children or your children's children or your partner or whomever, your llama, your favorite llama, who's going to miss you when you're gone?
Fluffy the llama?
Fluffy the llama, okay? He lost his groove and he wants to look at photos of you. How are they going to be able to do it? Not just that one photo that you did for likes.
I just got a wacky off-the-wall question. AJ, are you a fan of the TV show Black Mirror?
Why, yes, I am.
I just saw the correlation there. Those are some great tips on how to turn some photos into some physical memories, most definitely.
Yeah.
So now we're in the section called Tech That Caught Our Eye.
Tech that caught our eye.
You got it. That's right. Very cool. By the way, if there's anyone who likes to do jingles out there, hashtag BHAM Podcast on Twitter. Anyway, DJ, is there something around that's caught your eye since our previous recording?
Yes. Nintendo had an announcement this week, Chris.
Oh, dear.
They're coming out with a new console.
As per usual.
It's called the Super Nintendo.
Of course.
This dovetails in what we're talking about with memories and nostalgia. Nintendo, last year, I think right before our Christmas special, I mentioned the fact that there was the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic, the little mini console. It's got the cartridges built in that you can play vintage games. Well, this week they announced the Super Nintendo Classic.
So why bother with just the regular when you can get Super?
Right.
And then there'll be Mega. And then there'll be Gargantuan or Gigantor Nintendo.
Okay, clearly you were not a gamer in the 80s
I'm not
and 90s.
A gamer.
Okay.
We've already discussed that so far.
Oh, okay. So if you don't remember, back when dinosaurs ruled the earth, there was the Nintendo Entertainment System. That was where your vintage Duck Hunt and vintage Mario got debuted. Then we fast forward, and we got the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. That was the competitor to the Sega Genesis era.
SNES versus Sega.
Bingo. Sega!
Yeah.
That whole generation. So the SNES just got classicified, where now you can buy, they're taking pre-orders. It's about $80. If you can get a pre-order right now, because the Nintendo one, the original Nintendo Classic flew off the shelves during the holiday season. This one probably will do the same. What I wanted to draw attention to this is that they have the games baked in. So you're going to get Super Mario Brothers. You're going to get Mario Kart, and I can't remember a lot of them off the top of my head. You can click on the link in the show notes to see the full breakdown. They have Star Fox 2. Now, you're probably going, well, I'm Chris, and I'm not a gamer, and I don't care. But
hey, AJ, what's Star Fox 2? I've never heard of that.
You would not be alone, because it was never released.
Oh.
It was a game, the Star Fox team, when they produced the second game, they never got to be able to release it. So now, like some 20, 30 years later, like the team is probably like air high-fiving each other, because finally Star Fox 2 is going to see the light of day.
So this is kind of like the hidden trove of Stevie Ray Vaughan songs that were never released.
Published.
Prince,
yep.
The Beatles, perhaps. I don't know if they have new songs, but yes, this is, if you're a fan of Star Fox Uno, this is your dose.
Yes. So that's really cool, because a lot of gamers are kind of looking at this going, okay, how much nostalgia can Nintendo and Sega really drum up? Releasing unreleased games, that's a way to get some people's attention, including mine. So
there you go.
That was the only thing I had on my radar.
So AJ, I started the show with the intro to BPM. You're going to wrap up the show like you normally do.
So let's close this book up, Chris. That wraps it up for this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you again so much for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us on the iTunes, on the Google Play, on the SoundCloud, or even Speaker. That's Spreaker, but with an R in the middle there somewhere. If you are in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us locally on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low power!
low power. Community radio right here in the heart of the city of subdued excitement. On that note, I'm AJ Barce.
And I'm Chris Powell. Thanks again for joining us once again on BPM Tech.